Good evening, everybody. It is good to talk to you once again. I have not made a video since I made the Nancy Pelosi video a couple of days ago, and that whole charade, uh, that ridiculousness. But anyways, I move on past that at the moment. I was having a conversation today with someone I work with, and I was explaining to him someone I had talked to at the supermarket. I don't know who they are, or she is, or he is. I believe their name was Sarah and Rob. I probably got that wrong, but I apologize. So I was speaking to him about understanding the King James, and I remember talking to this. I hope they get mad if they see this video. I hope you don't get mad if I kind of talk about what we talked about, not really fully, but in a nutshell, she had mentioned how reading King James was she found difficult at first, and always had a little trouble with it, and I thought then, as I think now, there are a couple of reasons why I think that happens is we condition ourselves to believe that we can't understand something, and it stems from people around us in society saying, "Oh, that's very complicated. It's really old. It's really hard to understand. Here's an easier version." And we tend to want that easier version because we want to hurry up and read it, not because we want so much a shortcut and we don't want to understand the Bible. Or those of us who are trying to understand the Bible, we're not trying to make it a quick way of doing it. But what happens here, and I remember my first time trying to read the King James, I didn't understand it 100% at first because the words were different than I was used to, and I'm impatient. I want to learn something as fast as possible. And when you take that impatientness, if that's not even a word, and wanting to learn something quickly, you tend to get frustrated faster, and you might say, you know what, I'll go with the easier version. And that's not always a good thing. So I was speaking to a gentleman today at work, and he was talking about how, we're talking about Shakespeare in English, and he goes, well, technically that's Middle English. Okay, Middle English had, a large span of time from, I believe, the Norman Conquest, and that was, 1000 or 1018 or something like that, 1020, 1018. Someone could correct me if I'm wrong. And then that was like early, Middle English, and then Middle English, I guess you could say. And it was the late 1500s, we started to go away, and we went to the modern English. Moderner? I think I just said the word moderner. That's not even a word. We get to another stage, and in the 1600s is when or not we, but England and English, it kind of changed itself over a little bit. I didn't see personally a dramatic change, and I've always contended if one can understand Shakespeare, they can understand the Bible. I had a difficult time in high school understanding English of Shakespeare. It was always the these, the thous, and it was ridiculous to me. It was insanity. I hated Shakespeare. I couldn't stand it. I thought it was nonsense. It was just crazy talk. And it wasn't until years later, faced with other books that are along the same way, and either other plays that I had to read in high school, and which was funny that they promote that, but not King James. They'll tell you how easy that is, and don't get me going into Homer and the Odyssey there. That's easy to understand. But again, those same people will say, the King James, it's so outdated. Well then, don't teach Shakespeare. Don't teach the Odyssey. Don't try to read any of it because it's too complicated. But I think you can understand the King James Bible. And there's some words I go over with one of my sons, and he's 7, and he is actually able to understand so far most of the tough ones by the sentence, by where it's placed. So, the word smote. I know some adults that don't even know the word smote. I'm not putting all adults down. I'm just saying some don't even know it. So it's not complicated to understand once you keep reading it. you see it, you understand it. It comes more and more natural. I think it takes patience, and I think if you really want to learn the Bible, the King James Bible, you have to be patient when you read it. Because if you're able to read all the other things from that time period and beyond, I think you can definitely read King James Bible. It's not as complicated. So and it's an I guess some other people have made the same conversation about Shakespeare and the King James Bible. Well, it's lack of better words, it's not hard to understand as long as you keep on reading it. You'll see things that you didn't see before, and you'll understand it more as you go along. So when you read the King James Bible, be patient. Be patient with the word. Be patient. Like God is with us, patient. Patience is the key. You will learn it. You will understand it. It's not as hard as the world wants you to believe. It really isn't. And I don't go into the modern translations because it changes different words here and there. It actually changes the whole context. It just, the whole sentence is messed up when you change certain words. So I didn't want to make a long video. I just wanted to point that out, and that conversation I had today, along with that other conversation I had about learning King James and how complicated it is. And that's what the world will tell us. Even a lot of churches now, obviously, the more popular one, the mainstream churches, they go, oh, the modern versions, go with the modern versions, you'll be all set. No, that's not true. That's just not true. I'm sorry. Well, I appreciate you tuning into this video. I try to keep them as quick and short as possible. So I appreciate you watching. As always, God bless and have a fantastic evening.